The abyss ecosystem is incredibly diverse and otherworldly, making its flora and fauna just as varied. Living creatures of the Great Pit have evolved to adapt to such harsh conditions, even developing unique sensing organs to the force field within the abyss. And still 90% of the species in the abyss have not been yet identified. The further into the abyss a delver goes, the stranger and more dangerous the creatures become. In order to gauge the aggression of the beast within the abyss, a danger level system was created as a reference for delvers in order for them to understand and evaluate the caution they must display while in the abyss. It is frequently established that the deeper you find yourself in the abyss, the more likely you are to happen across creatures with higher and more substantial danger level scores. All of these animals and creatures are categorized according to their danger levels. So first let's start with the weakest and move towards the strongest ones. The weakest danger level is harmless. The Neritantan is a species that inhabits the vast cave system within the walls of the third layer of the abyss and live in the roots of the plants that grow within it. Their flat bodies are shaped by their flexible ribs, which can deform and elongate as needed by inhaling air. The primary diet consists of baracocha fruits, and assumingly because of this, their meat is described as very delicious and makes them suitable for a wide range of dishes. To protect themselves from the predators, they bunch up together in their nest and inflate their bodies, forming a near impregnable wall. The next danger level is insignificant. The first creature falling into this danger level is Hamashirama. The Hamashirama is the strange fish that lives in large numbers in the fifth layer of the abyss, the Sea of Corpses. Hamashirama are bizarre looking, aquatic swimming creatures, and they are widespread in the floating sea of the fifth layer. They are said to eat the detritus of aquatic creatures. Their appearance outside the water is vastly different to the form they take while swimming, which somewhat resembles an air balloon. Much like all the aquatic creatures of the fifth layer, they are said to be unaffected by the curse and possess many different sensory organs that surface organisms. Hamashirama are edible and quite delicious. While their appearance is rather displeasing, they are described to be very sweet and tasty. The next creature is hammerjaw. The hammerjaw is an avian species whose habitat extends from the surface down to the fourth layer of the abyss. They are very numerous, as they are often seen in the most shallow areas of the abyss and can be observed with a simple telescope from the houses on Earth. They appear to be quite fond of shiny things, and as such they will take them to their nest just for amusement of it. Their most iconic trait is their hard beak that is fused with their skull. They use it when engaging in hostile situations with other creatures, and they move in large groups relentlessly assaulting their victims. They will also take advantage of the weakened opponents that have suffered severe wounds, even if the opponent is a far more powerful creature like Crimson Splitjaw. The next danger layer requires caution. The only creature falling into this danger level is Silk Fang. The Silk Fang is a large insect that is occasionally seen within the first layer of the abyss. It has a 10-meter dome-shaped territory and puts its sticky feelers inside of it. They use it as a trap to catch their prey when they carelessly enter their territory. They move extremely fast within their dome and can spit paralyzing poison from their mouths. And their snouts also have a poisonous sting that can cause paralysis as well. These traits make them quite dangerous when one accidentally steps within their territory, but their danger level decreases outside of it. However, they won't ever leave their dome and sleep at the top until potential prey appears. If one is cautious, avoiding them is not a hard task. The next danger level is serious. The first creature falling into this category is Corpse Weeper. Corpse Weeper are large birds that live in ruthless second layer of the abyss in the forest of temptation. Corpse Weeper are carnivorous and quite violent at that, and they are notorious for their capabilities to mimic sounds and use it for hunting. If they capture prey with high social capabilities such as hammerjacks or humans, they will learn their prey's cries for help and use it to lure others to their colony, thus giving them the name crying corpses. Despite that, they are quite affectionate creatures. They live in colonies and raise their chicks together at a young age, and before they learn to fly, the elders will carry living prey to take them to the nest to feed the chicks. As one would expect from their size, corpse sweepers are quite strong, being able to swiftly carry a human around. The next creature is Ottobus. Ottobus are largely amphibious animals that live deep within the bottom of the second layer of the abyss, in the area around the border of the inverted forest. These animals are foreign apex predators of lakes within the forest and unexpectedly were capable of adapting to the habitat of the abyss. However, they were unable to compete with other predators of the second layer and were periodically driven to the innermost region of the inverted forest where the force field is thin. Ottobus have thick layer of fat and skin, thus they are usually not fit for consumption. However, with proper care and preparation, one would be enough to feed about 200 people. The next danger level is deadly. The only creature that falls into this level is Crimson Splitjaw. The Crimson Splitjaw is a giant, elongated, legless, carnivorous, scarlet red reptile of the serpent species that lives primarily in the third layer of the steep cliffs. By spreading its hood, it is able to swiftly surf in the air currents. Sometimes they might fly up to the upper layer in search of food, but it is exceedingly rare to see them in the most shallow sections of the abyss. They have vestigial eyes and many wart-like appendages on their lower jaws. The three black dots that the Crimson Splitjaw have around the mouth are organs that can detect the force field. The next danger level is absurd. The first creature that falls into this level is Amaranthine Deceptor. The Amaranthine Deceptors are insects that live within the impenetrable sixth layer of the abyss, where returns become impossible for humans. Since they live in such a deep section of the Great Pit, their existence is only known from a few reports made by the white-whistled delvers. The recently discovered letter from Lisa, the Annihilator, has expanded the knowledge of these insects, providing sketches and ecological surveys. Recently, they have been spotted in other layers of the abyss, such as fourth layer. The reason behind their migration is unknown, but there are concerns of them spreading to other sections as well. The next creature in absurd danger level is Orb Piercer. Orb Piercer resembles a large porcupine with a head that looks like a mask with multiple holes. They are herbivorous and eat algae that grows in the flat creepers. However, they are ferociously temperament and defensive over their territory. The flat creepers in the fourth layer are important passage routes for the delvers, and the Orb Piercers considers the entire 1 kilometer diameter of it to be its territory. Delvers need to be exceedingly cautious and pray for a safe passage when in their area. A single Orb Piercer have taken the limbs and or lives of over 100 black whistle delvers over the years. The next and the last danger level is extraordinary. In this danger level, the only creature that we know till now is Turbinate Dragon. The Turbinate Dragon is a creature that lives in the 6th layer of the abyss where return is humanly impossible. First documented in the notes of White Whistle Delvers Lisa the Annihilator, Turbinate Dragon resembles the dinosaur-sized horse with a long neck and a beak-like mouth, which have 6 large fang-like tusks on their lower jaw. They have poisonous scales like reptiles that act like carapace, and their old scales ruptures when struck and releases the strong poison inside them. They have 6 long legs to support their body. The end of their back holds a growth reminiscent of a snail shell with multiple appendages that sometimes move around, seemingly unrelated to its bodily movement. And as I said, this was the last and the most dangerous level of the creatures from the Made in Abyss. But don't get me wrong, there are many creatures except the ones I have mentioned in this list. But just the thing is that there is not much information available about them, so they cannot be classified into any of these categories for now. Some other creatures includes Amakagame, Demon Fish, Dread Owl, Emperor Shell, Fuzoshepu, Hermit Rat, Imbyo, Iruyumi's Children's, Kazura Squid, Kamazuno, Madoka Jack, Mainastrilum, Mizojack, Pseudo Water, Rohana Shroom Bear, Sakawatari and Stingerhead. And who knows, we might be actually scratching the surface in knowing the creatures and world building of Made in Abyss anime. Reminding from the world building, I already have two videos, one about Curse of the Abyss and one about the workings of different layer of the Abyss. So if you want, you can also check out these videos out, and that's it for today's video guys. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.